Hi, this is Chris at handfultranquility.com. I've seen a lot of blog posts lately on refilling 1-pound propane tanks. And with all the storms and cold weather and potential for power outages, I thought this would be a good idea for me to be able to do myself. So I picked up one of the adapters on Amazon. I'm going to do this for the very first time on video, so you should know what to expect. Although I have a decent amount of knowledge on the matter, I've read about it a lot, and I know quite a bit about gases and all that from my chemical engineering background. You really don't need to know any of that to be able to do this, as long as you follow the steps. While I always want you to go to my website, I think this particular topic is going to be one that's valuable to have the extra information on. So please, go to my website. The link will be in the comments section. Alright, on the first take of this, I went to screw in my 1-pound tank and it unthreaded the adapter here. The grill tank is left-hand thread and the 1-pound tank is a right-hand thread. So when you're tightening the 1-pound tank, it actually is unscrewing this. I tightened it pretty hand tight, anticipating that, but we're going to have to tighten it down a little more. I happen to have been working on my car recently, so I had a set of axle nut sockets. This is a 30 millimeter. It's a little bit big, but the 28 millimeter I had was too small. So it's going to be a 29 millimeter or whatever the equivalent of that is. Inch and an eighth maybe, somewhere in there. I know an inch and a 16th was too small. So, I'm going to tighten this a little bit. You don't need a torque wrench to do it. It's just what I had handy. Oops. Left-hand thread, as I just said. So, turning to the right's not going to do any good. So make sure it's nice and tight before you go to hook up your 1-pound tank. Okay, so the first step you want to do is weigh your propane tank so you'll know what the baseline is. So this particular one weighs 15 ounces. Now you could subtract or add from there. Most scales have a tare button though. So we're just going to press the tare button and now it reads 0. So when I take the tank off, it reads negative 15 ounces. So it'll give me an instant reading as I go of exactly what's in the tank. So I'm going to put this back in the freezer for a second to make sure it doesn't get too warm while I set up for the other shot. Alright, I'm back. I have the 1-pound tank out of the freezer. So let's go ahead and hook it up. Just needs to be snug. You don't have to do that one super tight, unlike the tank. So now we're going to turn it upside down, open the valve, and wait a couple minutes. Kind of sounds like refilling a CO2 tank. You'll hear that rush of liquid. I don't recommend doing this indoors. In fact, I'll expressly recommend doing it outdoors due to obvious fire hazard issues, but it's wet and snowy and cold out there, so I'm going to make the video inside. But I will tell you, do it outside for your own safety. It's just about done transferring liquid. You can kind of hear it going. I don't think you'll have showed up on the video. We'll give it another second. Alright, let's see where we're at. Go ahead and close your big tank. You can turn it upright at this point, it doesn't really matter. And unscrew the 1-pound can. Let's see how much we got in that short time. There's a little bit of liquid in there at all times. Uh-oh. I got 1 pound 5 ounces. A little bit too much. This is only rated for 1 pound and a half an ounce. So I'm actually going to hook this up to a torch or something and relieve some of the pressure. You definitely don't want to store it like this, because what can happen is as it heats up it will be overly full. When it's cold it's not too big of an issue probably, but as it heats up it could overpressurize the cylinder. So I'm going to take this outside and relieve a little bit of pressure right now. Alright, I'm not sure if I'm just a little bit of an idiot, a little bit, or if it's just the pressure of trying to get all this on video. I realized right after I stopped filming that the scale had been turned off, so it lost its negative 15 ounce 0 that I had put on there earlier. So that means there's actually only 6 ounces, which means it's only a third full. Again, I told you, this is my first time. You may experience the same thing. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I did obviously claim to have a little bit of knowledge on the matter, It's possible it's just not sufficient to leave it for 30 seconds. It may take a few more minutes. Also, my big tank hadn't been inside that long, like I said. It's only been inside for maybe an hour or two at the most. The liquid inside isn't fully up to temperature yet, so that may be part of the issue as well. Anyway, I'll put a second shot on here in just a second. I'm going to redo this experiment with this tank. This is one of the 14-ounce welding or soldering tanks. This is one I just had in my basement. It hasn't been in the fridge, so we'll see how much fill we can get on it without putting it in the freezer. Something I didn't do with the other tank was actually relieve the pressure by poking down on the Schrader valve. I doubt you heard that, but a little bit came out. It's possible I had too much that was in that tank and it would have messed up the equilibrium. So, let's see how much we get on one that we don't freeze. Alright, this time I am going to leave the scale on. 14.6 ounce tank. Go ahead and tare that. Alright, let's try this again. Now I don't expect a full 14 ounces to go in here because it is a warm tank, so there really shouldn't be much. I'm thinking just a few ounces at best. Not sure if you can hear it going, but really as soon as the liquid's done transferring, it should stop making noise. So as soon as it's done, we should be good to go. Just a little bit more noise. Alright, close the valve. Turn it back over. You will always have a little bit of escape when you take this off because there's liquid between this fitting and this valve. Alright, let's see what we got. Alright, so this has the negative 14.6 ounce zero on it still. We got 5.2 ounces without putting it in the freezer. That's not super surprising. So what really makes me think that the other tank still had a little bit of pressure in it, which kept it from being able to be filled as far. I'm not going to fully empty it. I think I do have another empty one in the garage, though, that I can try this with. Alright, I had a spare propane tank. So I already teared the scale out. We're going to turn the tank upside down. Turn it on. Still going. It's going a little longer this time. That's probably a good sign. I'm going to guess that we're going to get considerable more fill. I don't know if I'll hit the full 16 ounces or not, but it'll definitely be more than the 5 or 6 I had earlier. You'll know when it's done because you'll stop hearing any noise go between the two tanks. I hear this tank bubbling just a little bit, but the sound of actual pressure transfer between the two is pretty much done. So I'm going to turn it off. Alright. Sounds a little better, not completely full. Let's see what we got. .5 ounces. Not completely full, but you know what? That's pretty darn good. I'm going to take it. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video. 2 tries and I was able to do it successfully. You should be able to as well. Thanks.